Hello friends, a warm good evening to you. This is Sanjay Barnwal. Today I'll take you through important SAP transactions and reports which will help you in carrying out accounts payable audit in SAP environment. Many of my friends had asked me to create some easy reference transactions and guide them how do we handle accounts payable audit in SAP effectively. So let me take you through the topics which I am going to cover in this video. So let's start with the first. You need to know like what is the total scope of accounts payable. So you start with the total purchases. So how do you identify the total purchases in SAP? Next, I'll run through your invoice verification process in SAP. So mainly related to the three-way match we call it. So you have a purchase order, goods receipt, and then invoice receipt. How does it work in SAP? Apart from that, then you will also have non-PO based invoices. So how do you identify in SAP a invoice which is non-PO based? Let me add a pointer. Yeah. So then we know now we are GST compliant, right, in India. So you might be interested to know what is the volume of purchases your client is making from unregistered vendor and whether it is beyond 20 lakhs limit. So you may advise your client that they are losing, on the input tax credit and if the so how do you identify that unregistered vendor from SAP? Then potential duplicate invoice. So you would like to know whether duplicate invoices are getting posted in SAP. What are the controls there? Another challenging point I felt, from audit perspective, how do you identify invoices which get posted after the audit has been done or after year-end closing has been completed? So is there a mechanism in SAP which gives you immediate information on that? Then next will be how do you identify accruals which need to be accounted during the month of your audit. So is there any standard transaction in SAP on that? Another GST related requirement is vendor invoices which have not yet been paid for more than 6 months. Then how do you identify them and what action need to be taken? And last but not the least is check issued to a vendor but not yet cleared. So how do you get this report? So let's start. Before getting into the individual transactions, what I would suggest you get data for your accounts payable audit. And as you know, I prefer to get the data from different tables. So these are five important tables I believe you should ask your client to provide you. So first table is LFA1. This is a vendor master data table. So from this table you will be able to identify GST compliant vendor or not non-compliant vendor. Then EKKO and EKPO are these two tables related to your purchase order history. So all the POs which got created during the period of your audit, you can ask them to provide you the details. The next two tables are accounting document related tables. So BKPF and BSEG. So one is called header table, another is line item table. And here you can use your document type. RE is for PO based, KR is for non-PO based. So once you get the data from these five important tables, so then you can go to the next stage. So as I mentioned initially, right? So let's start with identifying the total purchase in your reporting period. So for example, you are doing audit for the year 2019. So you want to know what is the total purchases. So use this transaction code FK10N. So whatever transaction codes I am referring in this training video, you need to get access from your client. Once you get the access, then you go to this transaction and enter the following detail: your company code, fiscal year, and in the vendor you give from the beginning to the end all the vendors which are applicable for your audit. Then execute. So it will display like this. So you see here you have, these are the periods, 1 to 16 periods, then debit, credit, balance, cumulative balance. This is a balance carry forward from the previous year. Then all these cumulative balances as on at end of 2019. You also see here special GL. So, but we are not focused on special GL. Today in this screen we are talking about purchases. So the last column tells you the total purchases made from the vendor during the year. So this is the total balances and this is your scope of items. Now you would like to know how the balances have been arrived at. So in SAP there are four main posting keys which define a transaction as a sales as a purchase from a vendor. These are 31 when you buy any product from a vendor, so you give a credit to the vendor, so 31 is used as a credit. Then when you receive a credit memo from a vendor, so then you debit the vendor, so 21 is referred to as a debit to the vendor for credit memo. 32 is reversal of 31 and 22 is reversal of 22. 22 is reversal of 21. So if you have got a credit memo which got reversed, then you use 22. So this is the column which gives you the information what is the total purchases during the year, and based on this then you can do the further analysis. You can also double click on this line and it will give you supplier wise total purchase, and you can download this information into Excel. Now let's understand procure to pay process. How does it work in SAP? So it starts with the PR creation, determination of requirements. A department, suppose they need a laptop, so they will create a purchase requisition. Based on that purchase requisition, there will be a source determination. So buyer will be identifying from whom to buy the laptop. Once vendor has been selected, then they will issue a purchase order under the PO processing. Then the PO will be monitored and it will be followed up with the vendor. All these things will happen. Then once the material is dispatched by the vendor, then there will be a goods receipt. So the department who has ordered the laptop through their PR, they can do the goods receipt. Once the GRN is done, then invoice is processed by the accounts team. So you have a invoice verification. So it is called three-way match. So you have a purchase order, you have a GRN, and you have an invoice verification. So these are the important T codes in invoice verification process. Most important transactions in invoice verification processes are FBL1N, FB03, FK03, XK03, MIR4, MB03, MIGO, and ME23N. These transactions help you to display different, like for example FBL1N, it will help you to display the vendor line item. FB03 is to display accounting document, whereas MIR4 is to display your logistics invoice document. So when you do the PO based invoice processing, so it will have two document getting generated. One is called accounting document, another is called logistics invoice document. Then MB03 or MIGO you can use to display your goods receipt related, goods issue related document. So all the material document you can display through these two transactions. And finally, to get a detailed overview, ME23N you can use to display the purchase order. I would recommend to get access to all these transactions from your client. So let's see a BL1N. So you see, I have tried to give you some basic understanding of what are the different fields mean here. So open items. So open items in SAP you have the concept of open items, cleared items. So when you have a sub, as we know, AR, AP, these are all called sub ledger in SAP. So whenever you make any posting to a vendor, it also posts a transaction to a GL reconciliation account to which the vendor is mapped. So when I process invoice to a vendor, so this gets into vendor account as an open item. Once you make a payment to against that item, then that item gets cleared. So it becomes a cleared item finally. So when you execute this report for open items, it will show you all the vendor lines which are not yet paid, and this is very important as I had mentioned earlier from the GST compliance perspective. From reviewing your aging analysis, open items is very critical. Then there are few other important fields to understand here. Special GL transactions. So special GL transactions represent advances given to suppliers. So if you want to see the, get the aging of all the advances paid to the supplier, then just select this item, this type. Noted items are off balance sheet items which are not hitting your financial account. However, it's important. For example, you have letter of credit or bank guarantee, bill of exchange. All these are treated as a noted items. You can carry out the review based on either open items or all items. And you can also give a range of vendor to whom you want to do the analysis, or you can keep this field blank. So system will generate report for all the vendors. There is another very important field called dynamic list display. So this field gives you further control and I would say repertoire to do more centralized analysis, or maybe I would say more deep analysis if you want to do. So for example, you want to see vendors for in a particular country, vendors in a particular city. So using this dynamic display, you can select the field and move it to the right side. And then once it comes to the right side, you can give a restriction. So system will display only values for only those fields which have been inputted here. Dynamic list contains field selection option from your vendor master, company code and accounting document. So if you want to select all the transactions which are posted on a particular day, you can click here the posting date and then send it to this side, and you can review only on that. Or if you want to review for document type, that also you can select from this place. So once you execute FBL1 system will display this type of report. So now what you can do, you can do the filter on this field. This is called type. Type means document type. This is a very critical field which helps you to identify the nature of transaction. So what you should do, you should ask your client based on all the document types which are visible in this report, meanings. So what are the meaning of UP, SA, AB, and once you understand that, then you filter it. Normally in SAP, vendor invoices are processed using RE for PO based invoices and KR for non-PO based invoices. Then apart from this filter criteria, these are the options you have. So this is a filter. These two are for sorting, and then these three are for the layout definition. So as you can see here, so the ones which are field which are visible here comes in the left side. On the right side you have many other fields which you can move to the left side by selecting them and clicking any of these, but this left button. If you don't want any of these fields, just select this field and then click this button, so it will go away. So filter, sort, layout, these are all different options to make your life easier in generating the report. So now you saw I had filtered on the RE document type. So now I can see all the invoices which are posted using the purchase order based transactions. So RE is a PO based invoice processing. Now what I want to do, I want to drill down from this line item to the purchase order. So what you should do, just double click on this, then it will show you the accounting document. From here then you can go to the you can click on the line, you see the purchasing document field, click on this button and then it will take you to the purchasing document. Or you can also go through the environment, document environment and original document. So it will take you to the logistics invoice document. From there then you can click on the purchasing document. So right now I'll just click on this purchasing document and it will take me to the PO number. So I come to the PO document and here you can see purchase order history. So it has got again header, line item, then item table. So for each line it contains these many important tabs. So purchase order history tab tells you that okay, this PO line has been done GRN, as well as invoice processing is also done for this PO line item. You can see both the document. WE represent goods receipt transaction and RE represents RE-L represent logistics invoice processing document. So WE again is a document type. RE, as I mentioned, it's an invoice document type. From here again you can click on this document. It will take you to the GRN goods receipt document, and there you can do further analysis if you wish. Now let's talk about non-PO based invoices. So non-PO based invoices are they don't follow the three-way match basically. So there is no purchase order, there is no goods receipt. These invoices are posted directly by the finance department. So it's very important for us to understand the non-PO invoices, because there are always control weaknesses, because it's done by only one department. Finance department will be doing that. So you must check like what is the total value of non-PO based invoices. For that you can generate the data from BKPF table using the document type KR, and for invoices, and KG for credit memo. You can also obtain this data from BL1 in transaction by using the filter on document type KR and KG. If getting data from BKPF is difficult. Once you generate that report, you can do the vendor wise subtotal and see the total volume, whether it is material or for you to do the further analysis or not. You can also do the analysis whether these vendors from whom you are doing non-PO based invoices, whether they are registered with GST or not. So let's understand how do you identify a vendor, whether that vendor is a GST compliant vendor or not. For that to check, you go to transaction code FK03, or you can use table LFA1. Within the transaction FK03, you enter the vendor number and click on this control button and it takes you to this screen. You see here tax number 3 field. So this vendor is a GST compliant vendor. So you see the GST number is entered here. However, this vendor is not GST compliant. So tax number 3 field is empty. So this information you can get from LFA1 table that's the one I had told you in the beginning to get the data. Or you can get it from FK03. However, the problem in FK03 is you have to do it one by one. In LFA1, you will get all the data in one go. So now let's talk about potential duplicate invoice. It's very important from audit perspective also that we need to check whether system is uh, having control on the duplicate invoice posting or not, and whether there have been duplicate invoices posted in the system or not. So SAP provides some control mechanism, and however it needs to be configured. So duplicate invoice control takes into consideration below elements, which are vendor number and invoice date, invoice amount and currency. So in combination of all these 4 5 elements, system will ensure that check whether it's a duplicate invoice or not. For you to quickly check whether in your client system any duplicate invoices have been posted, you can use this transaction. S underscore ALR underscore 870123441. Invoice numbers allocated twice. I'll just show you one example. So this is the transaction and invoice numbers allocated twice. You can see here this is a vendor number 110504 and reference field shows you the vendor invoice number. You can see this is the accounting document number. 2 times it got posted with the same reference number for these amounts. System should normally not allow you if you have done the proper configuration, then it should not have been posted. But if this type of transactions are there, then you need to advise your client to improve their control. Okay, next topic I have is invoice posted after closing. So, how do you identify any vendor invoices which get posted after your audit period was over? So, in SAP, there is a date field called entry date. Entry date represent your system date. So, the date when you enter any transaction in SAP, that date gets captured as entry date. You can obtain all the details of transactions which got posted after the audit period was over through FB03 transaction or even FBL1N. Let me show you how to do that. So this is FB03 transaction screen. So you click on document list and once you come here you can see these fields are available. So you have entry date and posting date. So posting date, as you know, it represents the date getting posted to your financial period. So let's understand, normally client would like to post all the transaction on 31st March. So you can give 31st March 2019, for example, I am giving. So you can even give and then entry date you give. I have given 10th April to 30th September. So I have given a very wide range. So I don't know when the client would have posted that transaction. So I just gave this range. Even for posting date also you can give a different range. Maybe you can give from 1st March to 31st March. Important thing here is to also in the document type you enter your vendor invoice document, because we are restricting this session with the accounts payable audit. However, same thing you can check for the JV document posting. So JV document could be document type SA. But let's focus on the vendor invoices. So I have given KR and RE. Now let's execute. So as we can see, there are transactions posted with respect to these two document types, and you can see entered on date. So even in the month of May, end of April, even some transactions got posted in August also with posting date of 31st March. So this is a very interesting things to check, right? That how come they posted transactions on 31st March in August. So once you generate this report, you can have a discussion with your client to get more visibility. Now let's talk about accruals. So as we understand, accruals are very important to consider for the accurate reporting of your expenses. So in SAP, you can obtain the details of accruals through standard transaction code KSB2, display commitment line item for cost center. So commitment in SAP in accruals is called as commitment. SAP calculates these commitment based on the delivery date in purchasing document. However, one thing need to be very clear that this commitment report will be available only for the PO based transaction. For non-PO based, you need to do the accrual outside SAP. You need to calculate outside SAP and then post in SAP. In this report, you can enter your controlling area or company code by using this further selection criteria, and then give the date of your reporting period. So I have given 31st October, but you may give 31st March or 31st December, whatever period you are doing the audit. So up to that period, you are expecting debit to happen, but it has not yet done. So system then will generate the report. Let's see how it comes. So you can see here so it's giving me two line item with the expected debit date, which is the delivery date for these two purchase orders. One is having value 0, one is coming with some value. So let's understand what's the reason for these two values like that. I mean, these values coming like that. So just double click on this reference document number. So it's a PO number, so it takes you to the PO screen. In this case, we can see there is no purchase order history tab. So it means I have not yet done the GRN. So although the delivery date is 28th of October, but I have yet to do the GRN. So system is treating it as a commitment and accruals which I need to book. In this case, you see PO history tab has come after account assignment, and it shows I have already done the GRN. So accrual has already been booked through this document type WE. So there is no need for further accrual to be posted. Hope this is clear. Now let's talk about vendor payments overdue for more than 6 months. In the CGST Act, there is one specific proviso in section 16.2 which says that if you have availed ITC and you have not made payment to your vendor for 6 months, more than 6 months, then you have to refund the GST ITC amount which you have claimed. One very important thing here to see is it says within a period of 180 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. So government is saying that the date of issue of invoice. So what is the date supplier has mentioned in his invoice, that date you need to consider to calculate this 6 months. So it's very important to get the outstanding invoices of suppliers which are due for more than 6 months. So let's see how to get that information. Go to FBL1 in transaction code and select open items and then execute for your company code. Here what you need to do is add document type field, a reference field. Document type represents your supplier invoice date. A reference type represent your supplier invoice number. And now you get the dump of this report, and you also get what is the net due date. Then this is account is nothing but your supplier account number, and this document number represent accounting document number, and this is your RE document type, which is your invoice document type. Then you dump it and then you compare by getting your today's date and see whether any of these invoices are over 6 months or not. If they are over 6 months, then you need to speak to your client and then identify against this amount how much ITC they have claimed and then ask them to reverse it. I think this is the last one. Check issued but not yet cleared. This is another very interesting topic I have seen in audits. So many times client issues checks, but they don't get encashed. Could be multiple reason. With probably client did not give the checks to their vendor. They just issued in the system, or there could be some genuine reason. So to get the report on that, SAP provides you very nice standard transaction code again through S underscore ALR underscore 8701239 outstanding checks analysis per GL account and vendor. Let's see how the report looks like. So this is the screen and as you can see here, so it shows you like this is the vendor and how for how long these checks have been issued and are dues. So this is a sandbox system, so don't use that as a reference point, but this is the way report will appear. Okay, so this is the last slide of mine. So I hope I could add some good values to your accounts payable audit. Please add your comments and in the video. If you want to have something more on this, then I'll try to add. Thank you.